Good evening, folks. Welcome to my channel, Down and Out in Torrevieja with me, Delta Mike. This is my weekly show where I summarise the week's events. This is for the week ending Sunday, August the 6th. As I said, that was the week that was. Okay, folks, to the subscribers, cheers. It's a coffee this time, no alcohol. 117 of you at the minute. It was 118 at one point, but we lost one again. Bloody flies on my nose. We get that. We get 2 or 3 people arrive in quick succession, and then the next time I release a video, I frighten them away. I think sometimes they sign up because they think it's a doggy channel, or you know, and then they see me moaning about whatever's gone wrong with life this time. But to you guys, the subscribers, we've got 1 week to go roughly with the 200 subscriber challenge. We're almost certainly not going to make that, which is unfortunate. I'll have to work out what to do about that. I still want to mark the anniversary of me becoming homeless, but it's not going to be the big live stream if we don't make the 200. That has to be kept. That has to be kept for the 200 subscribers. So I'll have to work out what to do. I have to think of something to do. But for now, guys, I'm happy that you're along for the ride with me. Cheers. And remember, the rest of you, if you're feeling left out, all you got to do, look down there, hit the subscribe button, rewind the video, hit play, and when I say cheers to the subscribers, that'll include you. Come on, you know you want to. It's free. Just do it. Or at least consider it. Okay, onwards. You will have noticed probably that I skipped last week entirely. I didn't do a show. Sorry about that. I was just, after the events of the week before, I just wasn't in the mood. So Sunday came and Sunday went, and I didn't do the show. I thought I might do it Monday. I did a recording in the park where I said, hey, I'm having an afternoon in the park. I'm going to listen to a podcast or two. And I said I might do That Was the Week That Was that night. I just couldn't face it, guys. I'm having a bad run, let's face it. Things are going from kind of bad. I thought things were on the up, but things have taken a little bit of a turn the other way. So let's recap. Sunday last week, I just wasn't in the mood. Didn't do anything. I prepared as if I was going to do the show, but it just never happened. As I said, Monday went to the park. Was intending to do the show possibly. I just wasn't feeling it. But what I did do is I came home and cooked a beautiful big pot of bolognese. Not quite spaghetti bolognese because it was past the twists. And what I did was I got my big steel pan, big metal pan, and I put the whole pan inside the barbecue as an oven, and I cooked it on the gas ring kind of in there. And while I had that on, I put some jacket potatoes in there for the next day. Tuesday started okay. I took the new trolley for another spin out to go and get some water. I loaded it up with 4 empty water bottles and strapped them in with the bungee cords, and off we went. And as soon as I'd put the 4th bottle on and started to wheel it away, the top bottle wriggled free and landed on the floor and split the top of the bottle. Fortunately, I'd taken a shopping bag, a Mercadona carrier bag with me. I was able to stand the bag upright in the bag and put it on my shoulder. So I have 3 on the trolley, 1 on my shoulder, and got it home that way. So as not to just waste the water or to you know, I didn't want to just empty the water away and throw the bottle away. Got it home with more or less no spillage. So that was good. So after getting the water, I decided to push out a video that I'd found on the phone that I'd recorded the week previously, but because of the arrest and the grief and me being so annoyed at finding my things by the roadside the day after, 2 days after, in all of that, I'd recorded some things and not pushed them out. So Tuesday morning, I released a video of some things that had been left here, some food and some other items that had been donated. Again, really appreciate them. Thank you to that was a mystery one, wasn't it? That was one where I didn't know who'd left them. They'd left them here. I think that was on the. Oh, was that the Saturday that they'd left that, or was that the Wednesday? I'm not sure. I lose track of what gets left when. Terrible. I should make better notes, or just have a better memory. But I'd pushed that video out like almost a week after the event, and then it was another one of these hot days. You know, we're in Spain, so the plan was to head off to the park again. And bear in mind, this was 1 week after the arrest. So I wanted to just not be here in case they pulled the same stunt again, kind of thing. So off we went. Afternoon in the park, always good. I've mentioned before about a lady that I think looks like she's in a worse position than me, but she feeds me every now and again. And she stopped by with this big a big serving of spaghetti in a cream sauce, like a carbonara, but with a big lump of chicken on top, like a chicken breast on the top, and half a baguette. It's nice. It's lovely. Thank you. You know, I'm always grateful for anything like that. While I was in the park in the afternoon, I made a tweak. I had to redo the thumbnail. The video just wasn't working, wasn't getting picked up. So a quick edit to the title and a change to the thumbnail, change the emphasis slightly, or I think quite often I'll upload a video and I'll let YouTube just grab a frame from within the video, and sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. So while I was in the park, I threw together probably 2, 3, 4 shots from within the video, kind of a collage with a little bit of text just explaining. And those videos with those thumbnails that I do myself, they often do better than the auto-generated thumbnail that YouTube picks. Also, while in the park, I've been using the YouTube community feature a bit more recently. These are messages. They're not always videos. It allows me to post some text, like just post a random message, and I can add a video as well. So what I've been doing is listing some of the most successful videos that you guys can then share out to people, or that maybe just get seen by other people and bring more people into the channel. That's the idea. So yeah, been using that quite a bit, pushing ideas out there, pushing videos that have been successful. So next up, Wednesday. Another long, hot, boring day. I was going to try and stay in camp, but it's just too hot. So I headed on up to the park. Didn't film it, didn't do anything. You've seen it a million times before. Just another long, hot day. We find a shady spot. There's somebody else actually in the spot that we're usually in, so we went to an alternate spot. Yeah. On the way there, Damian drove past, and once we got to the park, he pulled up and came and sat for a while. Brought a couple of little gifts, a bunch of bananas, and 2 of these cold coffee drinks that you buy. Basically, these. I kept the cup because I use them around camp for my own drinking. But it was just a long day. I sat and read, stayed in the shade, stayed in the cool. The lady arrived in the park again later on, quite late on, just before we were about to leave really. But she threw me some more food again. It's ready to eat food, you know, it's a ready done meal and a bit of bread type stuff that I presume she gets at Mercadona. But each day she seems to have a big bag full of food, and she's obviously buying these things for herself, and then she'll have an extra one sometimes, maybe for herself for later, but she gives it to me. And sometimes she just has something a bit less, but gives it to Tina. One day there was a bit of stew, but she'd put it into a container that had a cream cake in previously, So, you know, it was no good for me. I'm not going to eat a piece of stew with cream cake. But okay for Tina, okay for the dog. That was Wednesday. Thursday. This one's a doozy. For all the wrong fucking reasons. So, Spain, hot day, off to the park. While we're there, it starts to get a little bit breezy, a little bit windy. And by the time we're ready to leave, it's really quite blowy and a bit cloudy and a bit worried by the weather. So I look at the weather forecast and I see that overnight they're forecasting thunder and lightning, or a 50% chance of thunder and lightning for a couple of hours, but with strong winds, 30, 35 kilometers an hour, that kind of speed. So when I get back to camp, and I have a couple of hours here, and then I take Tina for a walk, and I filmed a little piece just on the top of the cliffs with the wind blowing, kind of blowing a gale really. And I mentioned the my worry about the tent and high winds, which were quite prophetic really, now that we know how Thursday night, Friday morning turned out. About somewhere between 5 and 6 in the morning, gets really windy, really windy. The thunder and lightning didn't happen, no rain, but windy. Okay, so the tent's blowing and blowing, and suddenly there's a mighty crack. And from where I am in the bedroom, I can see out into the other part of the tent, the non-bedroom part, what I call the vestibule part. And I can see the roof of the tent there, and I see, well, not daylight because it's 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, but I can see light. And I'm like, oh my God, there's a hole in the tent. So I come out of the bedroom and I look, and I can see it's bad. And I put my shoes on and come out of the tent, and I come out and look. It's not just bad. It's not just a hole in the tent in that front part. The entire length of the roof is just ripped wide open. Just peeled wide open. And it's still like that now. Like I say, guys, I'm on a bit of a downer. I'm a bit depressed. Depression is a medical thing. I don't think I'm that. I'm just pissed off. I'm just annoyed, I think. It's 9 weeks, I think, since the guys bought me this tent, and it's split wide open. I'm suffering a little bit paralysis by analysis. I'm looking at it and I'm thinking what I could do, and I've got 3 ideas in my head of how I could proceed, and each one of them, as soon as I start to do it, precludes the others, probably. And so I'm a little bit frightened to make a start on one, in case it impacts the other possibilities. Now, it's summer in Spain. It doesn't rain often. When it does, it really does. But I keep an eye out. I check the weather forecast, first thing in the morning, and then again, kind of late afternoon, early evening. I've got duct tape, a Chinese knockoff version of duct tape, and I've got a few tarpaulins. I've tried pulling the flaps of the tent close together and seeing whether I could bridge the gap, but they don't come close to meeting. I think this is the trouble. The thing must have been under so much tension, trying to pull apart from both ends, that once it's gone, it's pulled apart now. And the roof's a little bit fragile. I was manipulating it at one point, and it split in my hand. So I think it's gone a little bit the way that the previous tarpaulin went, and that's going to be down to the ultraviolet, isn't it, from the sun. I mean, I'm guessing this tent is meant for like family holidays. You use it for a week, once every 2 years, or whatever families do with camping. They don't use them for 8 or 9 weeks continuously in the Spanish sun. I don't know. I'm trying to reach out to the manufacturer. I wonder whether they can take pity on a bloke who's down on his luck. I don't need a whole new tent. It's just the outer shell. So we'll see. But this has been kind of the heart of my malaise for the last few days. Partly the paralysis by analysis, partly just the sheer fucking what else can go wrong of it. So that was Thursday night into Friday morning, and then, like I said, the malaise, the not wanting to go anywhere, not wanting to do anything. And bearing in mind that it was windy all day Friday as well, so there's very little I could actually do. I couldn't have come out and put a tarp on, except in like an extreme emergency. You know, if we had a thunderstorm overhead, I would have had to do something. But it was just windy. I was waiting all day for the wind to die down so that I could properly analyse it and look at it. So basically just sat in the tent all day. Now obviously with the extra ventilation and with it not being as hot a day, I was alright in the tent. I was okay. Most days if I walk in there after 10 minutes I would just be sodden wet through. But no, it wasn't that warm a day, and the extra ventilation stopped it getting silly. Stopped it getting stupidly hot. But yeah, just that general malaise, just that general. So that swallowed that day up. That was Friday gone. I probably released a couple of videos showing the damage. Yeah. And carried on trying to push the channel, you know, just trying to build the channel still. But it's been slow going, and we haven't really built that much this last week. Not like the week before when we went from 80 to 108, was it? 107, 108. So we went from 108 to 117. Welcome to you newcomers, but I'm in the middle of a push to try and get to 200. I kind of was hoping for more, but the last 2 weeks I've had events conspire against me. There was the arrest, and then me finding my belongings next to the road. So that ruined the week before. This last week, the tent falling apart. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. Sorry, police just going past. I had to just watch. I see them seeing me. Yeah, it's another worry. So as I said, stayed in the camp all day, edited videos, released them, made a few variations of thumbnails, and just sat and monitored the videos as they were released, trying to marshal a bit of, you know, making sure that they do all right. If they're underperforming, making edits, making changes. And then Friday night, oh, this was one. So bearing in mind I'm sat in a tent that's got the roof ripped in half, and then there's a loud bang, late evening, at maybe 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, somewhere around there. And Tina's outside the tent and she tries to get in, and she tramples all over the door and puts her feet right through the door, like tearing it. And I come out and tell her off, and she panics and she puts her feet then through the side of the fucking tent. Only, well, you know, little holes. I got the tape. I masked, you know, I duct tape them up from the inside, but the duct tape's losing in the heat. Instead of being a really strong hold, it's become more of just a tacky kind of hold. It's like what's the word? Yeah, it's like when you tack something. It's like a temporary glue. It comes undone again and falls apart again, which doesn't bode well for my efforts that I'm going to make to try and put a tarp over the top of the roof, if that's the way I go. But yeah, poor thing, she got frightened by something and just went daft. But bearing in mind that's I've got a tent split in half, and I'm thinking to myself, how can I repair it? And then she goes and puts 2 or 3 holes in the bottom of the door and the side of the tent. There's a reason I call her Tina Damage and Destruction, or sometimes Tina Death and Destruction. I'm convinced that one day she'll be the death of me. Probably pull me into the road or push me off a cliff or something. I love it a bit, you know, but she's a monster. She's a monster. So Friday night, and I consider watching Friday Night Tights on YouTube. If you remember earlier in the month when I got ripped off on my gigabytes by Labara, or I feel ripped off on my gigabytes by Labara, I'm not going to get through 4 weeks with the gigabytes that I've got left. You know, I'm not going to get through the full 4 weeks. I'm probably going to run out. Monday or Tuesday. I haven't got money. I haven't got money to pay for more gigabytes. I haven't got cash, you know, ready cash. Thanks to some of you guys, I've got a few euros in PayPal, and I can pay through. You used to be able to pay Labara directly with PayPal, and for some reason they've withdrawn that now. But I can go to a third party and buy like a voucher, a token online. So pay a third party with PayPal, receive the voucher by email and recoup it that way. Costs extra, that's the thing. And I think this time I will pay the larger. I definitely need, if I'm going to carry on with YouTube, which is in question, but if I'm going to try and carry on with YouTube, I definitely need the larger package, the 15 euros a month, which will cost me just short of 18 euros because of paying through the third party. I think it's got to be done. But like I said, I was considering watching Friday Night Tights live, but it uses far more megabytes to get it live. If I wait until the Saturday and then download the processed, compressed version, that's a lot less. That's a lot less megabytes. So that's what I ended up doing. Got to preserve some megabytes for over the weekend, and had to, you know, for Friday. Had to preserve some and see how far through next week I get. Okay, guys. So Saturday. Waited all day for the wind to die down so that I could, you know, think about what to do with the tent. It never really did die down. So another wasted day really, all day just sat in the tent. So Saturday evening, this is where things get a little bit interesting. I decided to take, what, 2 or 3 euros to Mercadona, leaving me with, I think that leaves me with 5. Got to make them last, got to be careful with them. But I was going mainly for bread rolls and something to put on the bread. So off we went shopping, and it's like 10-15 minutes to the shop, 10 minutes to go around and get what I want and get through the till, and 10 minutes to 10-15 minutes to get home again. So way under an hour. But bearing in mind we've been in all day. I go to the shop, and when we come back, there's a package, a long green. Well, I'll show you. Give me a second. This, and it says on it, from your 100th subscriber, enjoy. And on the other side, there's a picture of what it is, kind of, sort of, a blue tent. Except inside, when you open it up, it's orange, bright fuck off orange. Tremendous. It's a 3-man tent. It's 2 meters by 1.5 meters. That's the footprint, and just over 1 meter in height. What I can't believe is that we were in all day, and we step out for somewhere between half an hour and an hour and miss the people who brought it. Now I hope they don't mind. I haven't had any contact. Well, I got an email from them, but from an anonymous email account, one of these quick throwaway ones that you can't reply to. I think they were just making sure that I'd got it. I'm going to hold this in reserve as my kind of emergency fallback. It's considerably smaller than what we're in, and I've got a lot of possessions and things in there. So I'm going to try. My ideal is to try and make this work whether that's just with tarps over the top, whether the manufacturer gets in touch and can send me a new shell for the outside. I don't know, but I want to try and make it work with the current one, just because I've got so much stuff. The new one, the tent that's been left here, might not even fit my mattress inside. I might have to fall back to the small mattress and something alongside it for the dog to lay on. Whereas currently we're on a double mattress, and then we've got loads of storage space to one side, and the vestibule with almost as much room again. If you go back and look at the video, the video I released a few days ago, Tramp's last night in old shelter gets a new home. That one. You can see in there the day that I moved into this tent, and there's a bit of a guided tour. So I hope that the people who brought me this are not offended, but I want to hold it in reserve as an emergency fallback. If we have to use it, we will, obviously, and it's good to have as a fallback. But my preferred solution at the minute is to try and make a go of what I've got. Now I will say this: I've started to hear movement in this field at night. I told you in the past we had a rodent problem, and then overnight it disappeared. And around that time I started hearing cats at night. You know the noises they make when they're fighting and mating and doing what they do. When the cats arrived, all the mice and rats disappeared. I'm now not hearing the cats, and I'm starting to hear the odd bit of movement at night. And that means I couldn't have just me and the dog inside the tent and have the belongings, and especially the food and things, outside. I mean, they're not got much protection at the minute. It's only a tent. I mean, you just go under the wall and you're in. But it's something. It's something. Also, bright orange. That was one thing with this tent that Simon bought. I went from being under a bright blue, like shocking blue tarpaulin, really blue, to a more muted 2 shades of blue, like a navy blue, and it's actually almost charcoal grey, but it's blue, and a muted, a mid blue. And it's big, but it's not as shocking vivid as the tarpaulin had been. And this tent's been bright orange, smaller, lower down, could be useful. But as I said, I hope they're not offended. I'd like them to make contact with me. My email address is published in the description to every video, which they used to contact me, so they know my address. But they used an anonymising service for contacting me. Shame I didn't see them when they delivered the tent, when they delivered it. I am grateful. Don't get me wrong, always grateful. I just would prefer to try and keep the larger structure just for comfort, for comfort, for space, and for the storage. I am going to have to look at getting some extra plastic storage boxes though to keep it more secure in case rodents do get in. Because I do end up kind of with quite a bit of food stored at times. Not at the minute. Everything's run down. I haven't got much. That's a lie. Well, I miss. What's the word? It wasn't a deliberate lie, but I misspoke. I've got quite a lot of jars and tins. Not as many as I did have. I've been going through them, been using them. But I can end up with quite a lot of bread, if you remember. Sometimes I end up with a lot of bread, and if the rodents come back, that's what they'll head for. Plastic containers for bread, for bacon, for eggs, milk. They go for milk if it's in little cartons or the little plastic peel foil lid things. So that's something I might have to start thinking about. But thank you for the tent. It's one of a number of items I've got that I view as a fallback. I've got a survival sleeping bag that someone gave me at the end of winter once it started getting warm. But a tent, a sleeping bag, they could form a smaller, lightweight kit in the event I have to move, especially if I have to move in a hurry. Not that I'm going to. Don't go. You know, I'm not on the run, despite the other week's events. Yeah, you know. So that was Saturday. Basically stayed in the camp all day, went shopping and somehow missed the delivery of the tent, and found it when we got back. So Sunday, or as we like to call it, today. Okay, guys, I need to move this along. It's after 9 o'clock and it'll be dark shortly. So Sunday. Okay, started with preparing some water, by which I mean taking a bottle of the bad water and adding 10, 12, 15 drops of bleach to turn it into drinking water. Because as you know, my water source is not trustworthy. In fact, it's not just not trustworthy, it's guaranteed to give me a bad stomach. And Tina even gives the dog a bad stomach if she has the water as it comes, as it is when we get it. So first thing in the morning, prepared the water, put the bleach in, then we have to set it aside for an hour or so, and then after that open it and let it breathe for half an hour or an hour. Let the bleach off gas, and that chlorine-y kind of, not ammonia, but you know what I mean. You know how bleach is. So I did that first thing, and then spent the day in the camp. Really just couldn't be bothered. I'll keep it clean. Really couldn't be bothered going anywhere or doing anything. Prepped for this, prepped the notes for that was the week that was, and stayed in the tent, hunkered down. Now, this is why we need the water. It's 42 degrees inside the tent, or sometimes higher during the day. Today was 42 degrees. While I'm sitting there, I am just wet through. The water is just, it's not just dripping off my nose, it's running off my nose. I spend maybe an hour in there and then I come out for half an hour. And even in the sunshine, a little bit of breeze just feels so cool, and with the wet shirt, which sometimes I'll put in a bucket of water here, I'll rinse it out and then put it on wet to help me cool down. That's always nice. And stops the shirt smelling too much. Cleaning it every day. That's necessary. But the amount of sweating, that's why we need so much water. At the minute, me and Tina between us are going through more than 8 litres a day. And like I say, it's nice when people bring us a bottle of water. Either some people will bring us some from the shop, from the supermarket, which I try and persuade them is not necessary. Perfectly fine with tap water. If they've got an empty water bottle and they just fill it and bring it, that's fine. But at the minute, we went from having 2 or 3 people that were bringing us fairly regularly, and now I think a couple of them have gone home and things, and so we've run out of that. So we're back to treating the bad water with chemicals to make it good water, or at least to make it passable. No idea what the long-term effects of drinking water with bleach are. It's supposed to be an emergency measure, but it's the only way I've got of getting water, so that's an emergency, isn't it? That's survival. As long as I don't overdo it, as long as there's not too much bleach in the water. Also though, bleach doesn't last forever. It loses its effectiveness somewhere between 6 and 9 months. And I've had this quite a while. And I don't know how old it was when it was given to me. So yeah, treating the water and then spending all day drinking the water because I'm sat in a hot tent. I don't know. So Tina spent most of the day, as she often does, under her favourite bush here. She finds a nice bit of shade. She scratches out down to some cooler earth, some cooler soil, and puts her belly on the cool spot. And then she just barks at any cars or whatever that go past on this little road at the bottom, and at the buses up on the big road, up on the main road. That's her sport for the day. Barking at cars and barking at buses. I try and stop her and get her to be quiet, but she's a dog, what can you do? And that kind of brings us more or less up to date, guys. Like I said, I spent part of the day prepping these notes and making sure I got the notes and things. I'll have links to all the videos that have been released through the week I've got those those will be in the description. I'll try and put the chapters in this time. I think I forgot the last few times I've done these programs and gone back and put them in maybe weeks later. But you know the chapters, so that you can jump to the specific parts of the video. So if you get bored during the video, don't just drop out, just jump ahead to another bit. I know I ramble on sometimes, and not everybody's going to watch the whole video, but you can jump forward to the parts that you want, or to other parts. For my part, the back end of this Sunday, I was considering making a Yorkshire pudding and a beef and onion gravy type thing. I haven't got any potatoes or anything, but I can do I've got onions. I can fry off some onions. I've got stock cubes, beef stock cubes. I've got flour, so I can thicken that up, and or put some lentils in, which gives a bit of a meaty texture. If you've got the darker lentils, the dark brown ones, they'll turn the water brown for you, and it gives it a. If you crush the lentils up at the end as well, mash them in, it helps give it a texture like something. So it'll be a beef and onion gravy without any actual beef. Beggars, you know, beggars can't be choosers. I've got eggs, although I've had them a seriously long time. Before using them, I would need to do the test to check that they sink to the bottom. If they sink, they're good. If they float on the top, they're bad. If they've kind of come off the bottom, they're just above the surface, just above the bottom, then you can make do as long as you use them quickly. But if they're too high up, then they're on the way out, and if they're on top, they're bad. I would need to test them all, see how they are. But I've got eggs. I haven't got milk, but I've got powdered milk. Now you can make Yorkshire puddings with water, but a bit of the kind of the protein powder, the powdered milk, that'll help. And I've got flour, like I say. So that's eggs, milk, flour. That's a Yorkshire pudding, or eggs, water, and flour at a push. So I can make the Yorkshire pudding. I can do an egg. I can do a beef and onion gravy, sort of. So I'll do it, maybe not today, but sometime soon. So watch out for that. There'll be a cookery video sometime soon. Don't think I'm going to cook that tonight. So, but by the time you see this, by the time I've edited this, put it together and got it out there, probably Tuesday or Wednesday. I'm getting worse. But maybe there'll be a cookery video sometime not long after. But I think that's just up to date, folks. I'm just looking at the tent. It's just blowing. The roof, the pieces of the roof are blowing around in the wind. I think that's just for today. Yeah, I don't even think I need to take her for a walk. I'll make a cold coffee, instant coffee, or I've got a cappuccino powder. I just make it with cold water rather than hot water when it's this hot. It's not as nice as it would be with hot, but something, isn't it? It's better than nothing. I haven't got the money to go out and buy a new jar of coffee. I haven't got the money. Well, I've got €5, I guess. It's a question of priorities. In fact, that's a video I'm going to do. I'll probably do that in the next day or two. I'm going to do a video on I can only speak for myself, but what my priorities are when I'm down to my last €20 or €10 or €5. And obviously it's situational. It depends what you've already got to hand. But yeah, because sometimes people bring me things and I kind of wonder what, you know, I wonder what's going through their mind. Their priorities and my priorities are maybe different. No offence to anybody that brought me an avocado, but you know. I'll just throw a few ideas out there now if anybody's thinking about anything, but bread's always a good one, almost always, as long as I'm not drowning in it already, and I'm not at the minute. We're not in a bread apocalypse. Bread's always a good one. Biscuits is always a good one. Damian brought me a 4-pack of biscuits 2 or 3 weeks ago, and he was surprised to find that I already had about 8 packs of biscuits. But what had happened was I'd got low. I was down to my last 2 packs, and then I'd bought a 4-pack. Someone else had dropped off a 4-pack. So whenever I go and buy something, other people then get me the same thing afterwards. And then Damian arrived with a 4-pack, and I'd eaten 1 or 2 of the packs in between. So, you know, I'd got, rather than having 14, I'd got about 12 packs of biscuits at this point. Now I'm down to my last 1 or 2 again, because that's how it goes. Feast or famine. I'm sure if I went out and bought a 4-pack, everyone would arrive with a bloody 4-pack. So yeah, things like a jar of coffee is always useful. Coffee, I've got drinking chocolate at the minute, so I'm okay for that. Things like rice or lentils, pasta. I've got quite a bit of pasta at the minute, but I'm probably low on the rice and the lentils. I'm getting low. I think I've got plenty of chickpeas and these other beans I've got. But yeah, like I said, I'm rambling now. I'll do a video, not on things that I want or need, but just on kind of how I process what I would get with my last €5 or €10, that kind of thing. Okay, folks, that was the week that was, for the weekend in August the 6th, 2023. All right, catch you next time. Delta Mike, out.